Welcome to Life-Changing Challengers, the podcast where passion meets purpose. I'm Brad Minus, your host, guiding you through stories of transformation and triumph, from endurance feats to overcoming adversity. Our guests defy the limits and inspire action. Ready to ignite your desire and incinerate your barriers? Join us. Your journey to the extraordinary begins now. Welcome back to another episode of Life-Changing Challenges. I'm really excited to have Adi Nair with us today, and he is a fitness coach, for lack of a better term. He's basically everything fitness, weight loss, nutrition, all of that thing, all rolled up into one. You can already tell that his pecs are bulging out of his shirt. You can kind of see his biceps pulled out of there. So the guy looks good. He talks the talk, he walks the walk, and he coaches people. We'll talk about testimonies and stuff a little bit later. But Adi, how you doing today?
Doing good, Brad. Doing good. Thank you so much for that absolutely amazing introduction.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine, please. But first, Adi, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? You know, like, where'd you grow up? What was the complement of your family? And what was it like to be Adi as a kid?
Yeah. So growing up, I'm originally from India, Mumbai. Coming from a middle-class family, I believe you do not get all the privileges, but I was really privileged to have nice roof on top of my head, all meals prepared by my mother, or we would have it made. Clothes were all ironed up, always washed. I didn't have any problem. The only thing that probably I had to do was go to school, eat food, and study. That is all. Play some games, probably go downstairs, play with the boys. That is all I did. That was the only problem that you would have, was school and homework. Coming up to Canada is a difficult thing to do now, because I think I had a silver spoon in my mouth. I had all the amenities. Once you start living by yourself, you think it's really easy. You think, oh, I can do whatever I want to do. Oh, my schedule is going to be so easy. Oh, I wouldn't have my mom to trouble me. But then as soon as you start living by yourself, like, so you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to do the laundry, you got to do okay. And over 3 years, you start realizing that, okay, things are difficult. You're no longer a boy. You have to give up on certain things. And I think it's in the Bible. I'm not a Christian, but I heard somebody say that as soon as I started giving up the things that I did as a boy, I became a man. And that's just the definition of it. You got to have the right habits. You got to have the right mentality and start moving towards the things that you want to have. So when I came to Canada, the first thing that I wanted to do was do all the things that I did get to do as a kid. Because I give this analogy quite a bit, that if you starve a kid of a lot of things, he's going to do the wrong things. I'll give you a great example with money, for example. Growing up, kids are not given a lot of money. Why? Because parents think that they're going to go spend it on all the wrong things. As soon as the kid gets a job, the first thing he's going to do is buy all the wrong things, because he didn't get to do it as a kid. So when you're enclosed in a cage like this, as soon as that cage is out and you get all this freedom when you come to a different country, you're going to do all the wrong things that you didn't get to do. So I did everything wrong. I went outside. I did all the 2-3 a.m. parties. I drank. I smoked a lot. Once you realize that that is a dead end and it does not give you that much peace that you thought it would, because it is all instant gratification. It is there for a second and then it's gone. You got to chase it. It's a perpetual pleasure chasing. You're just chasing it. It's never enough. You need it every single day. After getting 2 Fs in my grades, about 10 grand in debt, and losing a lot of things here, there, the other, I said, okay, so this is just a waste of time. I've spent 2 years already over here and I've not accomplished anything that I wanted to. So I decided to change everything. We'll go gym. We'll wake up early. We'll have a clean food. No vices, no drink, no smoke, no porn, no masturbation, no none of that, no chasing women. And you realize that this path is actually leading me to some kind of a purposeful result. Something is improving. My body improved. The way I spoke improved, the way I walked, the way I looked, the way I dressed. Every single thing starts improving as soon as you start having discipline in one area, because it's got a domino effect. So I passed all my grades, became a great employee, paid off all my debt, and started helping other people, just the way I did it. It all starts with a small wake up. You can go work out, you can eat the clean food, you read some positive stuff, and you have no vices. That is all you need. And that's all the path that I needed to start helping other people. And that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years now.
Well, I love that. We're going to step back here a little bit and let's go back into your childhood. So we said play with the boys. I'm assuming that you've got brothers and sisters.
Oh no, so I'm an only child. So I used to play with the boys just downstairs, whoever would come down to play. So cricket is a big sport back home. We play cricket, football. But I was always into sports. I would play whatever sport was available because I was not a good student. Any opportunity to get out of class, I would take, be it dance and singing, any, I'll just go. So whatever sporting opportunity the school had, I would just go take it. I think 18 years of just playing all the sports just combined and went into the gym because once you start living alone, you got work, school, food, XYZ, you don't have much time to play sports. So the only thing, all of it just combined into the gym. That's the only.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't a great student, but I was better than average. And I was a horrible athlete. I grew up wanting to be an athlete, tried everything. And I'm also part of the only kid club. So got there too. Up here in the States, we call them the latchkey kids when I was growing up. Because basically it was like both parents worked. So you went home, you fended for yourself until mom and dad came home. And then, and then life went on from there. And again, you said like playing with the boys. I was the same way. I had friends all over the place and we would be like, hey, we're going to play some football or let's go play some video games. And or I got a new board game actually back then. Let's try that, So you went through high school. Do they call it high school there or do they call it secondary school?
No, we call it high school.
Okay. And then you got accepted to what school in Canada?
So University of Alberta.
University of Alberta. Oh, awesome. And is that where you are now?
Yes, absolutely. Right.
Oh, okay.
Just on campus.
Great. So University of Alberta. And what did you decide to study?
Business.
Okay, cool. I have an MBA myself. I got you there. So got a couple things in common there. Love it. So you said at first, weren't doing very well. And then you went through the thing. I did the same thing, my freshman year, I pretty much blew apart and came back my sophomore year and got stuck into it, went into it. So I am with you there too,
Sorry to cut you off. It's a common trend that I found. Every single person probably ends up just doing that. I think by 30 or 40, you start picking yourself up because the first year it's you to fuck up.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's exactly right. It's like you get back and you're just like, no. No. I can't live like this. I need to find that balance. And it's hard to find that balance. But did you do any sports while you're at University of Alberta? Well, I guess you're still there.
Well, yes, but I could not play. I did not have much time to play. There were some drop-in activities that you could go and just play for an hour or so. So I did that in my first year because I think the courses are not really difficult at that time. So you've got time to do like all the recreation stuff. But I did not represent the university in any sport.
Yeah. So usually there's intramurals or something like that. You can jump into little clubs here and there. Yeah. So and I imagine because soccer is still a pretty big sport up in Canada, correct? Yeah. Because then they've got Canadian football, and American football.
Yeah.
Then they've got soccer, which is football. Yeah. So
got me all confused when I came playing football. I was like, football? Okay, no. You mean soccer? So we call it table tennis as well.
Did you find any places to play a little cricket in Canada?
Well, we used to play it on campus in the gymnasium. So I think they would have one day where you just play cricket. So they would have or maybe our friends bought the bat and ball. I don't remember. It was in my first year. I think we found a way to play it. And there are other clubs in the city of Edmonton where they play the sport and they're on the ground. But that's usually in the spring and summertime, not in the winter. But I did not play much, I'll be very honest. A couple of days here or there.
We'll take this offline sometime because I'd love to learn. I've tried to watch it a couple of times trying to figure out how it all worked. And it's miserable to watch at first. When you don't know anything, you're like, all right, wait, he hit it, but it bounced. How did that work? Did he not catch it? And where is he throwing it? Yeah, it was confusing. So hopefully maybe you can school me in on that one. But okay, so the first year you found yourself into that freshman, you found that freshman year where you're just like, hey, and I loved your analogy of you were like getting out of the cage, out of the basement, you were sheltered, which you should be. And I think most kids should be held like that. But and I think what's not happening is the parents kind of saying, the parents that had been through that, it's like, hey, listen, your freshman year, you're going to want to do all this stuff and give you strategies to sit there. Now, you in being in Mumbai probably was a little bit different of a story, but I would think that should be a normal thing.
Well, I think it is a normal thing. The parents definitely tell you that do this, do that, say no to that. But I think I was a rebellious kid growing up. To a degree, I wanted to do things which I didn't get to do. So I always knew that I want to do X, Y, and Z, but I've been told or forced to do A, B, C. So I'm not going to do A, B, C really well because why would I do that? I want to do X, Y, Z. And I always found a way to do what I wanted to do. It don't matter if I had to lie. It don't matter if I had to hide it. I would do it because I wanted to do it. And even the gym, my parents didn't support me to go to the gym. They didn't give me the fucking money. I would go sell secondhand iPhones. And my buddy told me that you could do this. I said, okay. And then we would do some together. I would do some by myself. And then I would have enough money to buy a 6-month cheap gym membership, which is close to my house. And then I would go gym 3 months in. I would have some results, and my parents would, then start saying, "Oh, my son with the 6-pack. Oh, my son with the big bicep." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. You could have supported me when I wanted to go, right?" So that's what happens. But I'm not blaming anybody because that's just society. You never get any kind of recognition for the process. You only get recognition for the result. So once you've got the result, people will be like, till the time you have no result, nobody's talking about you. As much as you want people to support you, nobody's going to do it. So I'm not blaming or pointing my finger on anybody. I'm just saying anybody who wants to get something done always know that result is the only thing that matters. So how do you get it? Don't matter. You got it, matters.
And that's got to be changed, because you can definitely get to the perfect body or so in the wrong way. I mean, we've been hearing about Ozempic this whole time, right? People that are a little bit bigger and they're like, "Oh, I take Ozempic. Oh, I dropped all that weight." And then they get off of it and they put it all right back on because they didn't start the habits to start with.
True. Yeah. I never thought of it.
Yeah. So the process it's the journey. It really is the journey. So, and you had your own journey, right? You started in the gym and then you've grown while you were in the gym, and that turned a corner, just like you had mentioned in your intro. So let me ask you this. Now, when you decided that you were going to go to the gym, so basically you had done sports your whole life in Mumbai while you were in high school and middle school. So did you actually did you have knowledge of weightlifting before you came to Canada?
No, not at all. But growing up, I would watch some movies and it would have like a guy in it who's all muscular, and he did this one step in a movie where he just flicked his bicep. And I looked at the guy and said, I want to be able to do that. That was it. So when we would play sports, I would do a bunch of push-ups and I would run. I was an athlete as well. The first time I think I was able to see my bicep, I was like, okay, so that was easy. That was not really difficult. I always knew about the gym, but it was always, so 16, 17, it's about the age. I cannot go right now. I don't have the money. How would I pay for the gym membership? So I would do a bunch of push-ups. I would do a lot of home workouts, this, that, the other. And whatever, every YouTube video I watched on how to build a good body using home thingies. You'd use a desk to just do dips behind you. You would use your arm to just pull like that, and you get biceps like that. And I remember my parents walking by watching me like, that's an idiot. Look what he's doing. And I would be like, just give me some time. I got this shit. It always goes back to the initial thing that I wanted to do it. I wanted to have a good body because I saw that actor have it. I just have to do it. Don't matter how, I'll figure it out. But I had that mentality. As I said, I'd go behind people's back. I would lie, but I would get the thing that I want to get. I've made too many mistakes in the first couple of months. I've had a lot of injuries, minor ones, nothing that would put me in the hospital. But, the knee injury, lower back injury, pec injury, because you don't, like YouTube can teach you, but you still have to go and do the stuff and realize that, okay, this is not actually, okay, YouTube does not have the information. So what do I do now? You just keep on doing it, and you realize that, okay, so maybe I can do it in this way, maybe that works. Then you start figuring things out. What I used to do as a observer was there were a lot of trainers at the gym. So I would just watch the trainer train the client, and I'd be like, okay, so he taught him in that way. I'm doing it in this way. Let me just try that. Right. And that's all I did. And then trial and error until I made the body. So the reason I'm a good coach now is because I have made all the mistakes. There are no many mistakes that I can make anymore. Right. So the other person, when I'm teaching somebody, I can tell them, do it in this way, don't do it in that way. And then he says, no, but I want to do it in that way. Go ahead and do it. Make the mistake. You will learn. It's not that you won't learn anything out of it. You'll just waste time. You can always reroute yourself. Waste your time, make the mistake, reroute yourself. Because once you you cannot, if you force people to not make the mistake, as I said, you're putting them in the cage. As soon as I am gone, the cage is gone. They're going to go make the mistake. So let people make the mistake. No problem. So going back full circle, I do not have any gym knowledge. I was just an observer. I made a bunch of mistakes and I would do it. Man, I found myself just an action taker and not a big thinker. Because I feel people waste a lot of time just thinking about things and not doing it. I, on the other hand, is on the extreme of just doing the thing. It is not always right to just be doing the thing, because you can be doing a lot of dumb things and just be like, oh, that was actually, I should not have even done that. That's so dumb of me. But I did it anyways. So okay, I'll try this. That didn't work. I'll try this. That didn't work. I'll try this. That didn't work. Okay, so now I have two things that work. Let me choose the two things. Okay, so this also doesn't work. So I've always given myself this analogy that life is a big MCQ test. You got A, B, C, D, E. A didn't work, B didn't work, C maybe worked, D a bit worked, E didn't work. So then try C, D until some of it works out. So you just cancel out things in my head.
That's
Without
great.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
Well, you know what? The idea about that, you know, what's good about that is that people that get a trainer, and I've been there, I've had trainers, I've had coaches, but they can sit there and they tell you exactly how to do it. Hey, we want to put this at this angle, make sure you push up. And this is the reason why, you know, this is the reason why you don't do it this way, because you could strain this or pull this or whatever. And they tell you the reason why. And that was me. I was always like, tell me the reason why. I've got clients myself who like refuse. They're like, don't tell me why. Just tell me what to do. I'll go do it. I don't care about why. But for me, it was always a big why, was because that solidified it in my head, right? Yeah. The reason why I'm at it when I'm doing a push-up and my arms are at 90-degree, they're at 45-degree angles. They're not at 9. They're not pulled out. They're not forward, is because I could pull my pec. You know, it's a possibility. You go at 90, you go at 45 degrees and you're getting only chest with very little tricep. And they tell me that. I love that. That's great. But for you, I think it's even better, because not only like I can say to somebody, well, you want to do it this way because of this, right? But you could say you don't want to do this because of this. If you start to feel this, make sure you double check where your form is, because you know what it feels like, because you actually went through it, versus, you know, people that have like gotten trainers, gotten people that have gone behind them to make sure that they've moved their elbows and everything else. You actually know what this is going to feel like. It's the same thing with me. When I started triathlon, I didn't have money for a coach, just like you. You know, I didn't know how to swim very well. You know, I could swim to save myself, but I couldn't swim like competitively. But getting in the water and listening, going, okay, well, listen, I need good body position. What keeps me going slow? Hydrodynamics. Study hydrodynamics, figure how that works. So in that way, I was similar to you as well.
Thing about swimming, sorry to interrupt, but when I started swimming, I think I was in grade 1 or something, and you learn by initially just putting your hands on the railing and you flap your legs behind. One of the big guys that I was listening to at that time, he just took me and he put me right in the 16 feet area of the pool. And I just went and I'm like, what? Right? And then he picked me up and there were kids over there laughing at me. I was like, just give me 2 months. And I would just laugh at that. And then I learned how to do it, and then I would just beat all of them, because once you get laughed at and you put the exact fear in front of you and you face it, nothing can stop it. What's the worst that can happen as of now? Nothing. I got drawn and people laughed. Nothing. So I learned swimming that way, and I loved it, because we hate the guy when it happens to you, right? You hate the guy when he puts you in the difficult situation, like, oh, but then you love the guy after 2-3 months because you realize that he did something good for you. So every bad thing usually leads to a good thing. We just don't realize it, because in the moment, the bad thing feels like a fucking bad thing. But over 2 years, 3 years, that bad eventually leads to something good.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes that could happen in 8 weeks. When I was in the military and then I was at basic, man, did we hate our drill sergeant. I mean, it's like every time, all the way through. And a drill sergeant, because he pushed us even heavier than all the other drill sergeants, because we used to have your battalion flag. And you used to get these streamers, and the streamers would be for riflemanship, it would be for physical fitness, it would be for, you know, neurobiological, chemical. And so there'd be these tasks, and the best battalion that finished those tasks would get the streamer. And he was like absolutely 100% just addicted to having every single streamer. Let me tell you something. I missed that guy. As soon as I left and I went to the next school, I went to my tech school, which is basically advanced school, I missed him. None of the Army was like that after that. Then I got put in with it became co-ed, and then all of a sudden I was like, I was missing being back into that environment. So I get it, because we cursed him out.
That ain't
Yeah,
effort,
right.
man. I think I'm that friend over here with a lot of the guys. I'm not saying they should brag, but when they're around me, they're in shape. As soon as I leave or I go someplace else, they go back to their old habits, which is the saddest thing. Eventually, they get some result and they're like, thank you so much. But then I leave their company, I'll go someplace else, back to their old habits. Again, gotta.
So do you have any clients that you have trained that has kept the good habits and maintained form?
Oh,
And
I think a couple, but not much, I'll be honest, because I think usually what happens is if the diet plan and discipline and the workouts are so tight, after 2, 3 months, even if you leave for a couple days, if you break the discipline, it goes really. So if because you've done something for a very long period of time, you've got the proof in your mentality that in your mind that you could do the thing again. What happens is you've been out of shape for 3 years and you start a diet plan for 3 months. What happens as soon as a diet plan ends and you break the discipline, because you've done this for 3 years, you go back right into it. You've not done this for sufficient period of time that this habit compounds and becomes better. It does not happen. Been done for so long, that is your default setting and you're trying to do an uncomfortable thing. As soon as you break off the discipline, you go back to your default set. So you got to be in that uncomfortable zone for 6, 7, 8, 1 year for you to be able to make that as your new normal. That needs to become the default. And this is just something that's your past self. You can never go back to it. So this is a new norm. But for you to be able to do that, it requires more time. 2, 3 months is not enough time. So you can teach them the discipline, you can teach them the habits. But I found they usually leave it. They'll take a 1 week break, which will just end up becoming a 7 month break, and then they finish lunch. But they know how to bring it back because they know what needs to be done in the next 3, 4 months. Because you'll hear them say, "Oh, just give me 3 months, I'll get back in shape. Just give me 5 months, I'll get back." I know what to do, but they don't do it. It's difficult. Whatever excuse in the world, but that is their path. You cannot tell them to. You can't force them to go to the gym because as soon as I'm gone, they will go back to their default. So I stopped forcing people to do.
I get it. Yeah, I call it quicksand.
Saying it.
You call it quicksand if you like step into quicksand, you start to sink.
Go.
And unless you are very still, you're going to sink faster if you try to
Right.
pedal on. So I call it quicksand. So in my world, it either starts with an off season or it starts with an injury. And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, you're right. I got this injury. I'm going to recover for the day." And then that day becomes 2. That day becomes 3. And then maybe you'll do a small workout. You're like, "Oh, I'm back at it." And then you're like, "Oh, wait, it's bothering me." And then a week turns to 2, 2 weeks turns to 3, 3 weeks turns to 4, 1 month turns to 2 months. And now you gain 10 pounds and you get back on your bike finally and your power metrics are off. You don't feel good and the whole bit. Now what you've done is you've taken something that you usually find pleasure in. And because you haven't been there for a while, now it's hard and it hurts. Now, anybody who knows anybody who's had a proper off season knows that, okay, my first 2 weeks are going to suck. But as soon as I get past the first 2 weeks, I'm going to be right back where I was and I'm going to be able to start performing after that.
Yeah.
And anybody knows that in endurance sports.
I heard a great entrepreneur say it. His name is Vusi Tambayo. He's a South African entrepreneur. He said, if you are stuck on a highway and your car gets stuck and you don't have cell reception, you don't have gas in your tank, you start pushing your car to the nearest gas station, you put the car neutral and you start pushing the car. The initial 10 seconds is the most difficult because you got to start pushing the car. The tires have to rotate. But once the tires are rotating, you got the momentum. You just got to keep on maintaining the pressure. So the first 10 days, first 2 weeks, always going to be difficult. That was a great unlock for me in my mind. I said, okay, is there anything new that I want to start? The first 20 days is going to be hell. Momentum.
Yes. So it's that gathering of momentum. That's a great way to think about it, is those first 2 weeks being, hey, you're rocking the car, you're rocking it, trying to get those burning, and then you'll finally get a couple inches, a couple more inches, and then all of a sudden you'll start moving. And even if you have to go uphill, as long as you've got that momentum, you'll be able to just, speed it up a little bit and you'll be able to get it up that hill. So yeah, that's a great momentum. For me, so that's the positive aspect of it. My aspect was the negative. It's quicksand. It's like, just keep digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper till you finally are like, all right, I got to get out of this mess. And it's twice as hard. The longer you wait, the longer that you say mañana, meaning tomorrow. tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. The longer you start going tomorrow, the harder it's going to be. The longer that those, like what I say is 2 weeks. If you take an off season, whatever, 2 weeks is 2 weeks starts, but that 2 weeks turns to 3 in the 3 weeks. So you know that you've got to stick it in your head, going, okay, it hurts, it's not fun, but I got to stick it out until I get to that. Once I get past that first 2 weeks, I know things are going to start to get easier. And it's not that those 2 weeks stay that way. It's the first couple of days, and then the third day is a little bit easier, 4 days a little bit easier, fifth day, the following week's just a little, gets a little bit easier each time, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I can run.
Right. But that is once you have accomplished something. So, Brett, I'll be very honest, something that I realized when I started my discipline journey was that initially you're just looking for some kind of a result. We're all conditional people. We want if our conditions are not met, we don't want to do it. So because I had the gym and I had built a body initially, I knew how difficult it's going to be in the beginning. But as you mentioned, day 1, very difficult. Day 2, a bit better. 3, 4, it becomes a bit better, but it does not feel better. It is only in retrospect that you look back and say, oh, I see what happened. So week 1 was very difficult. But week 2, oh, I see. But in the moment, it is very difficult because our result is not there. We are all goal-oriented people. We want that result as soon as possible. But we know it doesn't happen. That's why gym was a great example for me, because it took me 6 months to build an initial very good body. And then I had that mental framework in my mind that, okay, it is not going to happen in 1 month. Even if I were to start coaching people now 1 month, content creation now 1 month, it's going to take years and years. But in the moment, it feels very difficult. It feels ages ago. But when you look back, you're like, okay, yeah, I see what Brad means. Okay, right. So day 2 was difficult. Okay, yeah, day 10 was a bit easier. Fair enough. So in 10-day increments, things are becoming easier by the day. I see.
That's good. That's good. And that's right. And basically, the examples we were setting was the fact that people that are coming back to it versus people that are just starting, that is hell. It is absolutely. But going for it. So, and that's the thing that I was going to, let's chat about that real quick. So let's talk about a hypothetical person that coming to you. Maybe they're not horrible. Let's say they're 20 pounds overweight, never really been to a gym before. Maybe they did something in high school and now they're, I don't know, and maybe in their 20s or 30s. And they're like, no, let's start with aesthetics. I want to look better. I want to have some ruffle of a six pack, and I want to see my biceps and stuff. What's the first thing that you do with a brand new client like that?
Diet, food. What are you consuming? There's a lack of exercise. There's an excessive need of food. You've been eating way too much for the past 2 years for you to have that 20 pounds. You can just walk, do a couple of push-ups. You'll be fine body-wise. You don't need the bicep pain like every single person. But if you just want to look and be in shape, if you walk and eat clean food and rest 7 to 8 hours a day, you're fine. The problem with that person would be too much processed food, too much fat, don't know what he's eating. So we got to make sure that we cut down on the food, cut down on the processed food specifically, and make sure that he's doing at least some kind of walking. So if you put him into the gym, what's going to happen is he can probably work out the first day, second day, but day 3, day 4 is going to be very difficult for him. He'll be very sore. So what I would start off with is just cardio and food control. For the first month, just whatever you were eating, half that. Very simple. If you're having 2 cups of rice in your plate, 1 cup of rice, and you do that for a week, and then you change something. You now go to the gym, eat like Adi, and train like Adi. You can do it for day 1 or day 2. You will fail on day 3. You're trying to make big changes in a very small period of time. You have to make small changes over a very big period of time. So you take 1 week where you're on a specific macro, you're eating 1 cup of rice, oatmeal in the morning, having some fruits in the middle, and having a cup of coffee, for example. Over the next few weeks, you start making tweaks in it. You reduce the oatmeal, you reduce the rice, you add more veggies, you add more fruit. You figure things out in that way. And then you start cutting down on the cardio. You go more to the gym. Leave the cardio, no problem. But do some kind of a physical activity. It doesn't have to be the gym. It doesn't have to be every single day. But what happens is once you start seeing some results of your actions, you're like, I want to be the best. I want to be, because this happens with the gym. Every single person knows it. As soon as you get some results and you start posing and like, bro, I can be on the stage, man. If I could be a natural bodybuilder, it happens. Every single person goes through it. Because you feel that, okay, my efforts are paying off, but it only pays off in month 4, month 5. It doesn't pay off in the first 3 months. So again, go full circle. The person would just have to cut down on his food, do some kind of physical activity, and that's it. So we got to get his macros correct. But then when people hear macros, they say, I cannot have time to track my food. Don't track your food, man. That's why we'll just reduce the quantity of your food that you're eating. You have enough carbs, more of protein, and less of fat. That's it. So you have body weight protein, muscle weight protein, have body weight carbs, and less of fat. That's it. Have 2,500 calories a day, and you'll be fine.
I get it. You know what? And that's exactly like my approach to when I teach. I used to have this course that I taught. It was called 0 to 5K. Basically taught people that weren't running, never ran, whatever, with no background to a 5K in 8 weeks. Right. And just what you're saying, it literally was just like that. So what was the workout for day one? The workout was I would show them the warm-ups. We'd kind of more do these little warm-ups, but then it was walk for 5 minutes, jog at a conversational pace, basically saying that if you can't talk, you're going too fast, right? So easy for 3 minutes, another 5-minute walk, another 2-minute walk, and then another 5-minute walk, and they were done, right? So that's what I did. And then for 8 weeks, what it would do is we would increase the run part 1 minute every workout. Basically going exactly what you're talking about, little changes. So they worked out 3 times a week. That was it. 5-minute walk, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Then the next workout was 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, all the way up. Because we would meet twice a week and then they would do one on their own. When we meet twice a week, when we got to the point where it was 15 minutes. So it was 15 and 14. I cut out the 5-minute the beginning one. I cut that 5 minute out and we did our warm ups and then we started because we maintained that very slow pace, just longer and longer and longer and longer. When they came back, if they enjoyed it, they came back for my second course, which was stronger 5K. Then we would talk about sprinting and doing doing more HIIT workouts and stuff like that. That was that's like the advanced spot, but it is exactly what you talked about. And then when we would talk about food, and I'll just put this out there, but at first it was, okay, how many times are you eating potatoes a week? All right. So 2 things you can do. One, take one of those potatoes, one serving of the potatoes, go from white to sweet potatoes. Just make that one little change. You like spaghetti and you have spaghetti pasta once a week or twice a week. Let's say it's twice a week. One of those things, use spaghetti squash instead of noodles. Those are those little changes that you're talking about, right? Small, little incremental changes.
Over a long period of time. I'll be honest, Brad, I hated running growing up. And I was a sprinter. I never liked running 400, 800 meters. And when I came here to Canada, I wanted to see if I could run. It was cold outside. I would never run. I would just be a bitch about it. I'll just go. I'll take the bus to the gym. And then I heard David Goggins say one time he ran 200 something miles in like an entire day and he did not stop. And that distance was equivalent to one city and the other city. The distance is pretty much equivalent between. So he ran pretty much between both the cities. And in my head, I was like, nah, if he can do that, I can run to the gym, right? I should be able to do that. And so David Goggins was my running motivator. I started running to the gym. It was so terrible. But that's what I did. Initially, it was just run to the gym and then walk back. Then it was take the bus to the gym, then run back because it was cold outside. The quicker I can get from my house to the gym is the more warm I'll be. But I don't want to be freezing outside and make negative 40. But I always maintain my discipline since negative 40, what I may be case, I'll run to the gym, run back. Simple. That was my running idea. It gives you such a great high afterwards because once you get back home, you give yourself a pat on the shoulder and say, who did this? Nobody could do this. Nobody could wake up 5:30 and go to the gym. Nobody could run a negative. Who the fuck is going to do it? Everybody's a little bit like I have this bad self-talk. Maybe it's a ego thing, but it is ethical ego. I don't think it's this bad ego trying to improve your own self-talk and saying that who's going to do this? Nobody. I'm the best. You have that mentality because you got to have that. It's a competitive world outside. Everybody's competitive. You got to know how you can improve yourself, improve your self-talk so that you can compete with this fucking people outside, man. There are tough people outside.
No, you're talking my language. Goggins is he is my hero because Goggins makes even the toughest athlete out there look like a wimp, because I mean, some of the things, did you read both of his books?
No, I'm not. I've just seen his work, man. I'll be very honest. I've not read any of his books. I just see the way he talks, the way he runs, his work. It just gives more. I get more out of that as compared to sit and read his book.
Okay. Here, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip. Don't read it. Get it on audio. Because here's the thing. He's done something that, as far as I know, I mean, there's a million books in the world, a million audiobooks. I don't know. But he has done something that no one else has done.
Is it his voice?
Well, hang on. So the writer, Adam, he actually narrates the story. He narrates the book, but he stops. He stops at points where they're like big moments, and he goes, and it's so funny because they break out, and he's like, Goggins, man, let's unpack this a little bit. And then David comes on, and they do this little podcast in between. And he kind of gives you what he was feeling during that time of the story and what he was doing and what he was thinking. He's the only Navy SEAL ever that went through BUD/S 3 times. So that just gives you one thing. I mean, SEAL, right? He's also been to Ranger School and a Delta School. But he was, after BUD/S, he wanted to do something for veterans. And he decided he wanted to help this charity. And he heard about Badlands. Now, the Badlands race is in California. It's 135 miles through Death Valley. It is actually the hardest ultra marathon you'll ever like run. So he contacts the race director. Now, he's never done any kind of distance at this point. He contacts the race director, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a SEAL. I want to be able to do this race, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Have you ever run 100 miles before?" And he goes, "No, but I'm a SEAL. I've been through BUD/S, and not only that, 3 times." He goes, "No." He says, "I'm not letting you in this race unless you've done 100 miles." And the race is like 4 weeks away or 5 weeks away or something like that. And the application deadline is 3 weeks away. And he's like, "All right." He says, "If you go and run a 100-mile race and you get through it, then I will let you apply." He goes, "And you're lucky because in San Diego, there's a 24-hour race like this weekend." So Goggins gets out there and he starts running, and he gets about 30 miles in and things start to fall apart. And so he keeps going. Now, he knows nothing about running. He's telling me that his fuel is like Ritz potato chips and crackers and peanut butter and water and stuff. So no idea how to fuel a race. This is like runner Goggins. So he keeps going around, and it gets worse and it gets worse. He gets to the point where his shin splints are like tearing apart in him. So he takes duct tape and he duct tapes his shin to his foot is in a dorsiflex position, and he finishes it that way. And he said that when his girlfriend had put him into the car and he was a mess, put him into the tub. He couldn't hold his mud. He essed all over himself, and it was blood everywhere, and he was in bad shape. 2 days later, he calls up the race director and he says, "Okay, I did it." He said, "I ran 100 miles in 18 something hours." He goes, "Oh, you did it in 18 hours. He says, "Oh, what'd you finish up with?" He goes, "No, I did the 100 miles in 18 some hours." He says, "So you stopped?" He goes, "What'd you do he's like, "What'd you do for the other 6 hours?" Because it was a 24-hour race. It wasn't a 100-mile race. It was a 24-hour race. And so Chris is the guy. He goes, "What happened to the rest of the race? You didn't do the other 6 hours?" And he goes, "No, man, I was in bad shape." But in the book, he says, "I knew I liked this guy because, I mean, that was the whole thing. And that's what kind of got him on the journey. He started to do all the right stuff and do this ultra marathon thing a lot." So yeah, definitely Can't Break Me. Can't Hurt Me is the first one. And then the second one is Did Not Finish. And that one, they're both the audio is done the same way. The audio is fantastic. You read it fine, and you read it and you'll get great stuff out of it. But listening to it, and then they break out of it, and then he had a heart problem, so he couldn't run. So what he decided to do, break the world record pull-up.
Is that why he did that?
24 hours of pull-ups. He broke the record. It took him 3 tries. And the listening to him explain how it felt will tear you apart and just tears your heart apart. The skin ripped off of his hands and it was horrible. But the guy knows how to. I mean, the biggest thing about Goggins is he wanted to find out what his body could do. Because like I tell my people all the time, your brain will quit 100 times before your body will.
No, very true.
So I would highly recommend that to listen to it while you're working out because you'll get something out of it. It's great.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing now? Because you're still at this university, or are you just using the resources?
Oh, no, I'm actually graduating in April, so it's my last semester now.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. You graduate with a BBA, Bachelor's in Business Administration?
Yes, but business administration all comes under that big window or big umbrella of Bachelor's of Commerce. So it all comes, the degree would be of Bachelor's of Commerce, and you get like small majors, or you'll be specializing in things. So I'm specializing in strategic management.
Oh, awesome. We need people like that. So that's great. Are you making the bulk of your money with your fitness business right now to get you through school?
Oh, no. So school is, being an international student, you cannot make enough money to pay for your fees. So I'm lucky enough that my parents are paying me enough to pay the fees, but I do not take anything else for living expenses. I either work or the coaching business does enough for me to pay for my necessities and other expenses.
Oh, fantastic. See? God, well, I mean, when I was out there slinging pizzas, you get to go to school and train people and you make enough that I'd be all over that.
But it did not start like that though, Brett. I've always wanted to do it because I think I started off as a dishwasher, and I would tell myself while cleaning, if I could do something with fitness to just make enough money to not be do this, life would be great. And the first time I made $1,000 a month, I was like, life is great. I felt like a millionaire because this is what I wanted to do. And I was like, holy shit, I paid off all my shit doing the thing that I wanted to do. I didn't even work 80 hours. And life was really good. But I started off as a dishwasher, then a busser, host, bartender, server. And I worked at the university in the procurement department. And then I started doing online coaching.
Good. That's fantastic. Nothing is better than that.
Progressed.
I'm the same way. I started teaching for free.
There you go.
And then I got my first gig. What I was doing was running clinics in boutique running stores. They would hire me and I'd do an 8-week clinic there at the running store. And then they would pay me from there. I started getting private clients. And then before you know it, I have a roster of private clients. So you got to just slowly build once you get your name out there. But no, this is fantastic. So you're preaching here. You and I are on the same boat here. If you want to get started, small changes, right?
Small changes over a long period of time.
So for all of you that you've got that resolution or that goal, let's call it a goal. The resolution never works. You have that goal and be specific about it. Let's say you want to see your abs, or you want to build a physique that you'd be proud of. Having that picture in your mind of how you want to do it. And the first thing you got to do is the small changes. Walk more, reduce your calorie intake, and get cleaner. Walk even more. The biggest lesson that I've started to learn more as a coach is that we all have our time that we go into the gym, right? So in the morning, like Adi was saying, and goes to the gym, 5:30 in the morning, goes to the gym, does what it's done, come back out. But it doesn't stop there. It will take you a lot longer to get where you want to be if you basically do your hour in the gym, make sure you watch your intake, and that's it. You do your times in cardio, and that's it. You got to keep moving. So stand up desk, make sure that you walk more than you do your walks, get your steps in, and it could just be walking. It doesn't need to be, it could be leisurely. You grab a girlfriend, have a conversation and say, well, instead of sitting around and coughing or going to a coffee shop, take a walk, go out and walk.
Absolutely.
It's a constant thing, and that will bolster,
Absolutely. I think one of the greatest things that I learned from a coach, he said, they always remember yesterday's wins are not today's wins. The biggest mistake I think we make is that we have a perfect day on Monday. And then by the time Tuesday arrives, we're like, I didn't get my 6-pack. I don't want to go to the gym anymore. Because you don't do the small things over a long period. What a lot of people do, I know you've seen a lot of people or in your clients, they will come up and say, I want to do all the big things. I want to do all the bench press, I want to do all the squats just on day one, because that's what they see on Instagram and YouTube. But they'll do that for 3 days and realize that I didn't get the desired result that I wanted to get on day 4, so I'm going to quit. But that's why we say that you should do the small things over a long period of time so that you get the result. But yesterday's wins are not today's wins. If you had a perfect day yesterday, it is gone. You got this day and you do the same thing today. You're counting on the wrong thing. That this is an Indian saying. We say that if the night is gone, whatever we spoke about is also gone. So all the bad things that we spoke about yesterday is gone. Leave it behind you. We got a fresh day. Why don't you have that for the same winning mentality? If you've had 10 wins yesterday, have the same 10 wins today, have the same 10 wins tomorrow, and the fucking next week. What is so difficult about it? And I understand it's difficult because being in that position is very difficult. In retrospect, we can always look back and say, oh yeah, that's all I did. I just did like very small things, like 5 things every single day for a very long period of time. You will become a master in those 5 things. So that was a big lesson for me. And to this day, I struggle with it. I've been doing it for a very long period of time. Let's not do it today. And then, oh no, yes, this one's not today. Very good today. The only way out is through. The only way out is through. The only way out is through. And then you just keep on pushing yourself.
There's a guy out there that has a program. We call it 75 Hard. You heard about it?
Yeah, Andy Frisella. I've done it. I'm actually doing it.
But that's a testament to what you're saying, right? Do little things for a long period of time. So this is 75 days. And for those of you that haven't heard of 75 Hard, basically it's maintain a specific diet for 75 days, work out twice a day for 45 minutes. One of them has to be outside. Now, that is dependent upon your level. So for somebody just starting, this actually isn't bad. Basically what it's saying is go for 2 45-minute walks and then start to build yourself up that way. So this is a perfect way to do it. So don't think of those 2 45-minute, you're not going to be Adi, where he's going to go to the gym and he's going to crank out, 450 pounds on a bench press and killing it. And you're not going to be that. You might be walking outside and maybe you're doing a yoga class or something. Maybe you got something online. You're doing a yoga class, right? So it doesn't have to be huge. And then the third thing is that you read a book, a no nonfiction, 10 pages of a book. You take a picture of yourself, profile, and every single day, and drink a gallon of water a day. Right. The gallon of water is the hardest part. That was for me.
Yeah.
When I did it was.
I think 10 pages a day was difficult for me.
Really?
Yeah, I was not a big reader. I was always forced to read. I never read. But water was something. Back home, we drink a bunch of water. I think my dad used to drink so much water that whenever I would, so you learn out of watching people. So because my dad would always have a bottle next to him and he would always fill it up as soon as it's over and he would keep on chugging the water. As a kid, I would watch it and I'm like, okay, so probably I should also do that. He's my dad. So I picked off the habit from him. So with drinking water is the easiest thing. I probably drink 5 or 6. I really don't. There's a bottle right here. It's a full bottle, 2 liters. It's got to get over it. Probably I drink it 3 times like that. But reading, it's a difficult thing. It's so difficult. I hated reading so much. I think day 3 or day 4, I was like, nah, fuck this shit. I'm not doing it. I read for 3 days. I'm not doing this. But then I kept on reading. The best thing is I never stopped reading since.
Oh.
After 75, I kept on reading every single day for 10 pages a day of non-fictional, personal development books. And when New Year began, a lot of my buddies said, let's do it again. I'll do it. So I'm doing it with 4 other people right now, and we're on day 2. And I know I'm going to finish it, no problem. Diet would be a big thing because I think I had a bit of sugar over the holiday season. So I'm not going to have sugar.
So you know how I got into that habit of reading? I'll tell you a little secret. Your morning constitution.
Morning constitution.
Yeah. When you take your morning shit.
Uh-huh. Okay, I don't know.
That's when I get my 10 pages done.
All right.
That's a little secret, just to tell you. You're in there. There's nothing to look at. You got blank walls. I can sit there and get my 10 pages out of the way. So anyway, TMI, right? But yeah, and then I did the same thing. Then all of a sudden it became 10 pages. Then it was 20 pages because I would read 10 pages before I went to bed. And then it was 30 pages because I just got into the book. But again, little by little, right?
Man, so I took it up a notch. I don't think I've done it yet. I've been on 10 because again, my default is not to read. I've been only reading for a year now. So I have to do the same 10 pages for at least 3 years. So that becomes a default. And then I can increase to 15 and 20. Because I know for a fact, if I do 20 today, I'm not doing 20 tomorrow.
You know what? It also depends on the book. the book has got you, if the book's got you, you're like, oh wait, I just got done with that chapter. I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, wow, I read 5 extras.
exactly, yeah. It also depends on the books. A lot of those books that you read, and you just like,
True.
and then you're like me, right? I'm sure you're like me. You're like, okay, I started it. It's not great. It's 10 pages a day. I'll get through it, and I will take it as much as I can. If the book's not good, if the book's good, different story. So, but anyway. Adi, you gave us a lot of great information. And I think for the new year, you were like the perfect person to have on. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to go live until February, but at least we're going to have some great ideas that people can get when they're starting on their new fitness journey, or if they just want to change. And what Adi was saying is basically, looking at what you want to look like or what you want to be, go after it in small increments, and then doing the hard things, starting with health, is going to help those bigger things that you have on your life. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm a big preacher of doing hard things, like you coming up with a big giant physical challenge that you've never thought was possible. And then you work towards it. Now, again, starting slow, working your way up to it. And then by the time you get to that challenge, you're ready to take it on. When you finish that challenge, you will be changed, and it'll hit on every piece of your life. And you'll be, so basically think about it, somebody that jumps out of an airplane for the first time, 30,000 feet, and they drop for a minute, and at 4,000 feet, they pull the ripcord, right? Mm-hmm. Well, after you've done it that first time and you get down to the ground and you lived and you've survived. And first of all, it's a beautiful feeling when you're up there. Now look at the next obstacle that you've got. Okay. Like you go home and you got this big project at work and you get a little bit, let's say you get a little bit frustrated. Well, what do? Go back to that and go, hey, I jumped out of a plane at 40,000 feet and I live to tell about it. I can get over this obstacle. This is nothing.
That's the brokey days, when you don't have the money to buy food, when you don't have the money to buy a gym membership and all those kind of things, and you've survived through all that. And then this problem comes along, like, I can do it. But you start comparing to your past. So the past was really, really more difficult. And now this is a problem. So I saw that it's not a problem, but it's not as bad as it used to be. I still got a roof on top of my head. I got all my food. I got all the gym. I got it all. This is just one problem that's come in front of me. I should be able to solve. And that's absolutely right. You start comparing to your past problems and realize that, this is easy. I can do it. It's all your perception. What you
100%. What you just said about thinking about, hey, you know what? I've been through this. I got over it. I've been through this. That's where gratefulness comes in. And that's a whole other episode that we can have.
Right. But I think that's more of a proof that you've gone over difficult stuff. So when the new difficult stuff comes along, you're like, I can do it because I've done it in the past. That's all.
Exactly. So, Adi, I really, really appreciate you joining us here today. For all of you out there, listen, I'm going to put all of this stuff in the show notes. You'll have it. Adi has got nairfitness.wordpress.com, and you'll see he's got some photos of himself that you'll be envious to look at. But he's also got some great testimonials. Read the testimonials because they're remarkable. And everybody that's given to them are specific. So it's a quick website, which I love because it's nice, it's clean, and it gets you. And then he's got a questionnaire that you can fill out before you talk to him. He's also on Instagram at Nair Fitness or underscore Nair Fit, Nair.fit. And then if you go to there, then he's got his link in his bio that's got all of his other things. But you got to take a look at his pictures, man. They're pretty awesome. So take a look at that. That'll be in the show notes.
No, I believe YouTube is Nair Fitness. That's all it is.
And then Nair Fitness on YouTube. So check that out as well. And I'll have that in the show notes for you. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always know when a new episode is dropping. If you're on Apple or Spotify and you're listening to this, hey, write a comment in. Let us know, if you got a question, or leave a review. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be a good review. It can be a bad review because I'm always looking on having ways to evolve this podcast. And as you can tell, this is one of those pieces of evolution that we've gotten because we've kind of gone into a different angle here. So this is great. And Adi, again, thank you very much. We appreciate it and appreciate everything that you've been doing for your community. And keep on doing what you're doing. Congratulations ahead of time for finishing up your semester and graduating. And hopefully we'll talk to you again real soon.
But thank you so much.
Thank you. And for the rest of you, really appreciate you hanging out with us today, and we will see you in the next one.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Life-Changing Challengers. I'm your host, Brad Minus, saying thank you for joining us on this journey of transformation. If today's stories inspired you, please take a moment to review, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more listeners and create an even bigger impact. Remember, every challenge is a chance to grow. Until next time, keep pushing, keep challenging, and never stop pursuing your extraordinary.